Russian forces continued to strike military facilities in various regions of Ukraine last week. In Odessa region, a strike destroyed one of the shops of a medical instrument factory in Bilhorod-Dnistrovsky. In Khmelnytsk region, a Kinzhal missile struck the 𝐔𝐤𝐫𝐚𝐢𝐳 airfield. This military facility is used by the enemy to base carriers of Storm Shadow cruise missiles. The Kharkiv aviation plant was hit. The facility was the target of raids for several days. Strikes continued against various targets in the temporarily occupied territory of Zaporozhye region. Russian forces hit an echelon with AFU military equipment at the Yantsev railroad station. Russian forces continue systematic work to destroy enemy air defense assets. In Velikodolinske, a cluster munition destroyed the illumination and low-altitude detection station of the S-300 SAM battery, as well as the control center. Ukrainian forces continued to attack Russia's rear regions with drones. In Tver region, the detonation of several UAVs damaged equipment at the 𝐔𝐤𝐫𝐚 experimental plant. In addition, the AFU once again conducted a combined raid on Crimea. All fired missiles and drones were shot down in the sky above Sevastopol. 3 civilians were wounded as a result of falling shrapnel. In the Special Operations Zone, Russian forces continued to hold the initiative in several sections of the front. In the North Ukrainian direction, the enemy is still engaged in fortification work and training of personnel at firing ranges. On the Slobozhanske direction, fierce fighting continued in the area of high-rise buildings and the Vovchansk aggregate plant. Russian troops are using aviation and heavy flamethrower systems to hit the Ukrainian forces. On the Kupiansk-Svatove direction, fighting continues at the Sinkivka-Kislivka line, where the sides periodically attack each other's positions. South of Artemivka, Russian attack aircraft knocked the enemy out of part of the forest belts on the approaches to Rozivka. In the Lyman direction, Ukrainian forces counterattacked in the vicinity of the Krula Gully and the Shiroki Ravine, having lost several units of armored vehicles and suffered casualties in manpower. Further advance of the AFU was stopped. In the Siversk direction, Russian paratroopers completely liberated Rozdolivka as a result of heavy fighting. To the west of the village, the Russian armed forces advanced near the Bakhmutovka River, taking control of several positions. On the Artemivsk direction, Russian paratroopers continue their offensive in the Canal neighborhood in Chasiv Yar. Several buildings on the southern edge of the residential area have come under the control of the Russian armed forces. In the Oleksandro-Kaliniv direction, the Russian armed forces occupied several dried-up water reservoirs on the eastern bank of the Siversky Donbass Canal. West of Shumov, Russian troops knocked out Ukrainian formations from a stronghold equipped on a spoil heap of the Vostochna mine. In the Avdiivka direction, Russian troops have almost completely liberated Novoalexandrivka, advancing towards Vozdvizhenka. Heavy fighting continues in Sokil, where about half of the village is under the control of the Russian armed forces. On the Donetsk direction, Russian troops have taken new positions in the Vostochny neighborhood. In Maximilianovka, the Russian armed forces advanced to Tsentralna and Oktyabrskaya streets, gaining a foothold on the eastern outskirts of the village. Near Pobeda, Russian troops advanced near the T-0524 highway leading to Vuhledar. To the south, in the area from Pobeda to Paraskovivka, Russian troops took control of several forest belts north of the Svinyakya Galley. On the Vuhledar direction, the Russian armed forces completely liberated Paraskovivka and consolidated in the forest belt to the west of the village. At the Sladki-Vodyain line, counterfighting continued. On the Vremivka direction, Russian forces improved their position on the flank west of Staromayorsky. In 𝐒𝐤𝐫𝐚, the Russian armed forces, despite the high activity of the AFU UAVs, are trying to advance in the center of the village along Naberezhna and Centralna streets. On the Zaporizhzhia direction, Russian units hold positions on the northern outskirts of Robotyne. The sides exchange drone raids and artillery shelling along the entire length of the Robotyne line. In the Kherson direction, the situation has not undergone significant changes. The central part of 𝐔𝐤𝐫 is in the gray zone, and local skirmishes continue on the islands to the north in the Dnipro Delta.